You know, a lot of people wonder what goes into a lion translocation. And let me start by saying we're not short of lions in Africa. We're short of lion habitat. And that's because of the enormous pressure between people and cattle all over Africa, pushing up against the lion habitat, shrinking the lion habitat. And of course, if there's cattle in an area, a lion would far rather eat a cow, which is easy and it's big, than going to all the effort of catching an antelope. So, you know, the human-wildlife conflict where cattle are concerned is pretty significant with lion. And as soon as lion kills something of great value to the humans, they're going to poison the lion, and the lion's, population is going to get diminished. So really, we're not short of lions, we're short of lion habitat. But in the rare instance that you do find viable habitat that's good enough for lion, what are we looking for? We're looking for a habitat where the prey base is big enough to support an apex predator. We're looking for a habitat where you're not going to have human-wildlife conflict, where there's no cattle living. You're looking for a habitat that's big enough for the lions to freely range and not have to be contained by fences. And so that's not an easy place to find. That's a very, very difficult place to find. And so you start to couple all of that and you say, okay, well, if there's no lions there today, why aren't there lions there today? Are we going to put our lions there, and whatever's killed the existing lions, is that going to kill it? So the very first step that one has to take is you send a scientific team into the area, and they do a few things. But the most important thing is asking the four big questions. Were there lions here before? What eliminated them? Has that threat been mitigated? And is the habitat and the prey base viable to reintroduce lions now? If the answers are all correct for those, you now know that you've got a viable habitat. Now, the next step that you've got to do is, in an area particularly like we've got in Mozambique and Qatar 11, you've got to go and do the community sensitization, which means talking to the community, educating the community, and really putting some measures in place so that you eliminate or you mitigate the human-lion conflict. And so it really is a tricky thing, translocating lions. And I'm not even talking about the physical translocation. The physical translocation on its own requires all sorts of permitting and permissions and veterinary clearances and cross-border clearances and import permits and export permits and all of the veterinary and CITES, Convention for International Trade of Endangered Species permitting that goes along with that. So the moving of a lion pride, the moving of a lion population is a fearsome task logistics-wise. It's incredibly expensive, but most importantly, it's very difficult to find a place that needs more lions right now. And so, as I say, this is really a human problem. It's not a lion problem. And if we can find habitats which are nice and stable, that are viable lion habitats, hey, I tell you what, we can certainly find the lions to put out there. Just some food for thought. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think. Give us a comment below. But let me tell you, it's not really about being too few lions. It's about being too little habitat.